All right, what's up, everyone? It's Zach, and today I'm here with a very special guest, Vinnie Zaia. Vinnie, how are you doing today?
I'm s- Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to be here with us. So, a little bit about Vinnie. Vinnie is a former college athlete and now an entrepreneur, health coach, podcaster, all about positive energy and good vibes, putting it out there. And, that's just a little bit about Vinny, but do you mind kind of going more in depth about who you are, your background, what you're up to these days?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, that was a great summary. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Athlete has been that was a huge portion of my life. I was a swimmer, and I ended up taking that career all the way up into college, like you said, at the university in Valparaiso, Indiana. And from there, it was really just a foundation of building that student athlete. It's just built that strong foundation of time management, confidence, independence, all of those. So from there, I was actually studying Spanish and education, and like I'm sure people caught that I'm now an entrepreneur. So things didn't go as planned. I think that's one of my biggest messages, as you said, sharing on social media and sharing out with the world, all of those things about the flow and really following that following that positive energy and following what makes you feel good. And I got to a point where teaching me feel good. So I knew that I didn't want to turn around all of a sudden. I'm in my 40s hating my life, and I just saw my path. So it's been amazing to totally shift my energy and shift my life in a direction that better serves me and the world. Really, there's just a huge ripple effect that I've really experienced as I've started to do this. So, and it's amazing to have gone through this transformation of being, like you said, an athlete all the way through now being an entrepreneur. And it's all connected and it's all part of the plan. So it's
Yeah,
all good.
I love that. That's so awesome. And when did you make that transition from teaching Spanish to what
That
you're doing
was,
now?
yeah, that was relatively recently. So as you know, as the school was like non-existent almost,
Right.
they pretty much did not make it a priority, especially in our area in Michigan, to be online. So I really got a really good taste of what it would be like work from home. I know a lot of us did, but and have the freedom that I wanted to do. I wanted to have ultimately. And so as soon as March hit, I was at home with my boyfriend. We were both teachers at the time. He still is, and but we weren't really doing much. And then throughout the next couple of months, knew that I was growing past that type of position and career. And it was July that I officially nation. It was a lot easier or a lot harder than it sounds. I was actually teaching at the high school that we both graduated from. It was emotional. There's a lot of emotional
Yeah.
ties to the area, So it was harder than I thought it would be.
Oh, I can imagine. And I think that, like, because hearing you kind of talk a little bit about yourself, you mentioned just kind of going with the flow and just like doing what kind of best serves you and everything. And the way that you articulated it, it sounds easy, but I think it's important to acknowledge, like you said, like even making those decisions in your own personal life, they're not always easy decisions, but you kind of know it's to get you to the path that you're meant to be on.
Oh my gosh, yeah. No, I think the a lot in this age with social media, a lot of what we see online, it looks like those things and looks like those changes of being your own boss, blah, 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 and having your own
Hmm.
business and doing this thing. It looks so easy on a
Yeah.
screen, right? Or reading it or hearing someone talking about it, like people maybe are hearing right now. But really, when you are the one in the hot seat and all I do, it's tough. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but it's all about the path and really flowing into, like I said, what feels good and what feels best for you.
I love that, and I love, hearing you use the word flow and, like, going with the flow and finding what's best for you, and, I think that these are things that are so almost intuitive, but it's almost like everyday people, and I've been there, and I'm sure you've been there too, it's like we fight it. We fight
Oh yeah.
against going with the flow, and we struggle with it, and it makes sense to go with it, but we for whatever reason, it's hard to, like, make our minds accept it.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, even in our society, like I'd say in our country as Americans,
Mhm,
people cannot just go with the flow and like be so, and I totally feel that. It's so natural to have structure,
yeah,
and we're literally raised from preschool to kindergarten, those early years. There's a certain time when you go to school, there's a certain time you wake up, there's a certain time you do this, all the way up until college, right? If you pursue a higher education, all the way until work, and then the way that society is created and planned out and structured, rigid type situation daily,
mhm,
and I was constantly fighting that. So I knew that I needed to step away from that program a little bit to be able to find myself again. And it's taken until now, but it's been probably, but like, yeah, or like you're saying, it is to go with the flow.
yeah.
But once you get there, it's like pure bliss.
It is, it definitely is, and, Vinny, for anyone listening who might struggle with going with the flow, is there anything from your personal journey or just advice in general that you would wanna suggest for those individuals?
Oh my goodness. I would, so when you get to be able to become like go home and or you're done with your job, you're done with school, whatever it might be, I would with yourself in silence, even if you want to start your day this way. And really, what I'm talking about here is meditation, but sitting with
Mhm,
yourself in silence and allowing yourself to think through what's going to feel good to do next. Whenever you don't have a plan, whenever you don't need to be somewhere. And for me personally, when I would come home from work, from school, and I would be like, if I wasn't coaching at the time, and I'd have my whole evening to myself. And sometimes when you get to that point, like you don't even know what to do with yourself. But if
yeah,
you were to be like, sit down, just hand on, breathe for a second. Hey, oh, actually, I want to go for a walk. Listen to some music, or I want to listen to that podcast I've been wanting to listen to, or let me pick up that book that I haven't touched in a month. Things like that. So really spoke on it. The intuitive side of us is there silent in order to listen to it.
mhm. Yes, I love that, and that made me think, have you by chance heard of Eckhart Tolle?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Okay. Like, Stillness Speaks and A New Earth,
Yes.
Power of Now. Yeah,
Yes.
that's exactly what I thought of when you were explaining those things, and I was like, "You have to know who this is," but, like, for me personally, like, Eckhart Tolle and, Deepak Chopra, Seven Spiritual Laws of Success, those, 2 people have completely changed my life, and I feel like it's exactly kind of the same wave that you're on, and we're both on with just, like, embracing that stillness and that silence and sitting with ourselves and using the intuitive mind and, the law of least resistance and all that good stuff.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Seven Spiritual Laws of Success is so good. So good.
Yeah.
I love that book. Deepak Chopra is literally like, sometimes I have to like reread things over again because I'm like,
Yeah,
oh my God, what did this guy just say? It's so profound, you know?
right. Definitely, and, like, that's one of the books that, like, I keep, like, by my bed or, on a coffee table, and I just read it, like, all the time, just pick up and read a couple pages or something because it's so profound and beneficial.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, that's a really good idea. I have it on my bookshelf and now
Yeah.
I'm like about to go grab it after this podcast
Yeah,
episode because you're clearly talking about it for a reason, so I must need to
yeah.
go revisit it. But good book for sure.
For sure, and I can't take credit for it, but I found something just, like, off Google, which it has, like, the 7 spiritual laws of success, like, each law, kind of on a flyer type format, and, like, that's my phone background, and, like, I, um, printed out a bunch of copies and just, like, hung it up throughout my place, so, like, every time, like, if I'm washing my hands, if I'm getting ready for the morning, if I'm cooking, like, I'm reading these, and I like, even if I'm not, like, consciously focusing on it, my subconscious is seeing
Yes.
these laws and picking up and just manifesting that into my life.
Oh my gosh, yes, that's so important. People do not understand the power of the subconscious. So I'm so
Yes.
glad that you touched on that. But I love, literally, you're gonna have to send me that.
I will,
Whatever
yeah.
the screenshot is, like, please send it with the background of my phone too, because that would be so awesome.
Yeah, definitely, and I mean, I think I'll definitely send that to you, I'll make a note of that, but, like we were kinda talking about, the subconscious picks up so much, and, something that I've come to learn, honestly, more so as I've gotten older, is the idea that our subconscious mind picks up on so much even when we don't realize it. And, I'm not telling anyone or encouraging anyone to like never listen to news or watch news or anything. But I notice like even, social media, if I'm scrolling like negative news stories all the time, like I felt like low and it was like I didn't know why. But it's like because I'm consuming this or like social media is great, but like I would follow some accounts that were kind of, more negative or just low energy, and it really drains you more than you realize.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, energy is so contagious, and
Yeah.
whatever you are feeling and thinking, you attract. So
Mhm.
if you're feeling in that low energy and you aren't aware of it, and then all these bad things start happening, all of a sudden you walk to your car and your coffee spills on you, you walk to your
Yeah.
car and your tire's flat, and you're like, oh my God, all these terrible things are happening to me. Oh my God. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm in a downward spiral, but it was
Mhm.
literally just because of that one thing that you saw on social media that totally
Exactly.
like set you off. So that's so, yeah, you're so right. The subconscious brain is a crazy thing. And I feel like for me personally, it's been a ever evolving lesson for me. I don't feel like I'll probably ever get to the point where I'm like, heck yes, I've conquered this, my subconscious limiting
Right.
beliefs, all of those things. Like, it's this ever changing lesson throughout like the human experience that we are continuously probably going to always have not issues with, but things to work around, you know?
Definitely. I mean, I think that you summed it up really well. Like, it's always something that you kind of want to strive to understand more or to work on or improve, but it's so important to kind of tap into it, and I feel like we've both shared, when once you do, you kind of enter that state of bliss where it's almost like you're looking at life in like 3 colors, and then once you get to this point, like, you see every single color in the
Yeah.
world, and you're like, "Wow, I'm in a
Yeah.
completely different place now."
Yeah, and it happens over and over again too. Just like you
Yeah,
said, you see life through new eyes,
yeah,
and it doesn't happen just once, but once you start to experience it and you start to have these shifts, it changes your experience. It changes the way you look at things, and it changes your habits, your daily habits. It changes the way that you eat. It changes the way that you think, the way that you feel about yourself, the way you feel about others, and
mm,
um, yeah, you're so right.
definitely, and, I know, Vinny, you're kinda talking about energy and good energy, and, good energy or whatever energy you put out kind of attracts the same. um, I mean, I guess I'm just curious, like, what's your take on energy, or, like, what does energy mean to you?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I love that question and I love talking about this stuff because
Yeah,
I feel like this has been my savior when it comes to the place that I was in about a little over a year ago. So it was right around November of 2019. I was scrolling through an influencer's something, her content, and she started talking about these people and how they were channeling this energy that was called Abraham. I don't know if you've heard of Abraham Hicks and the law of attraction. Have you?
yeah, yep,
Okay, okay, awesome. Yay, good. This was my first introduction to them. And as soon as I was watching her content and listening to her story and listening to her perspective of that, I literally went straight to Amazon and ordered their book, their very first just law of attraction basic book, and I started reading and realizing that I had a lot of work to do. So the energy aspect of that, I was just in a really low place and I didn't know it, and it could have been because of my upbringing. I had so many terrible things that happened to me in, I'd say, probably in my very, very early 20s. And I was just in a place where I didn't really know how to be saved, but I was the only one that I was going to be able to save myself. And when I started reading this book, it was like my Bible. Like, it was just like I said, it just saved me. I don't even know how to put it into words, but the energy that it held was able to teach me how to live my life in a more purposeful and passionate way, and to step into my power. And when it comes to energy, the energy that you put out into the world is what you attract. That's literally the law of attraction, right? It's
Mhm.
exactly how you are thinking and feeling is what you're going to be able to attract into your experience. So, me feeling like complete crap about myself and my job and my relationships and money and all of the things, of course, all of these things were going to be, quote, happening to me that I didn't enjoy. So, I think that was my introduction to the way that I was using my energy and how it taught me. It taught me how to better use it and apply it in a way that was going to better suit me and my future, and also the people around me too. Like we've talked about, energy is so contagious, and the way that I was presenting myself was affecting, at the time I was teaching, it was affecting my students, it was affecting my coworkers, it was affecting my partner, it was affecting the people who I was living with. It just, energy is what it is, and it's a feeling, and it's we've all felt like the awkwardness of like someone just said something and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
or like the angry energy that someone, if you get yelled at, like, remember you being yelled at as a kid or something, or scolded, like you felt that energy, you felt that negativeness. Like, we've all felt it, and
Right.
sometimes it's really hard to put into words, but it's been something that has completely changed my life from the inside out.
Oh my gosh, I love that, and, love the law of attraction, so I'm so glad to hear that you were introduced to it and, that kinda, like, became your Bible, like you said, and energy is huge, and I know I guess it's a kind of millennial type word to use, but I love the word vibe. Like, just
Oh yeah.
like, to, catch a vibe or to feel the vibe of something, and just even, like, you walk into a room, you can get a good idea of the vibe and, like, that energy there, and, like, sometimes, like, I'll be like, "That's just low energy, like, I don't wanna go in that room, like, I don't wanna be a part of that," because even if, like, I have that high energy and that positive energy, but you're in a situation of negative energy, like, it's kinda like it sucks your soul a little bit, like, you then, become that energy that you're now surrounded by, so I'm so big into energy right with you, and like you said, it kind of is hard to describe, and if you aren't maybe at the place, and not to say that we're professionals by any means, like, if you're
Right.
not kind of, like, at this sort of level,
Yeah.
it might seem like such a vague, like, no, like, kind of, like, weird, hokey concept, but I swear
Yeah.
by it, it's so true.
No, you're right. Yeah, when you I feel like when you view people that are talking about these types of things and you don't necessarily understand it yourself, or maybe you just don't want to,
Mhm.
then that's when you start to point fingers at, this is weird, this isn't
Yeah,
real, this is like totally like, who are these like spiritual people? Like, what do they know? Like, all that stuff. But
right.
I used to say the same exact thing, and you start you're I used to do this, projecting the way that you feel about yourself onto others.
Yes.
When people finally get life and understand how life works, and you don't, of course you're going to be jealous about that, or
Yeah.
not understand it, and then say negative things. I fell into that spiral time and time again of talking badly about people because they have something that I want, and being jealous of that, and it all comes down exactly with what you're talking about, the energy stuff.
Yeah.
If it's not that you necessarily need to understand it, but be open to it, and be open to what type of change it can really, I don't know, have this catalyst. It's a huge catalyst to
Mhm.
change for how you feel about the world and yourself and life in general.
Definitely, and I mean, it's kind of like you were talking about, just like it can really just be small things. Like, I think about times where I've even done it too, where, you're like, oh my gosh, my, I just hit the red light. Like, of course, like I'm gonna hit a red light on my way to
Yeah.
work when I'm already running late, and then like you go to a restaurant and your food maybe takes a little longer than normal, and you're like, oh, of course, like I get slow service and my food didn't come out exactly how I wanted it. And like when you start thinking that way, like it's quick to spiral. So it's kind of like just finding that like gratitude for everything and just like those positive, like, I mean, if I hit like a red light now, I just kind of like laugh. I'm like, okay, that's it's cool. Like now I'm just gonna sit in my car and maybe like meditate on, how my day's going while I'm waiting for the light to turn, or just
Right.
like finding those small opportunities.
No, you're so right. Where the red light is so applicable, and I love that you brought that up as an example because everyone experiences that, and
Yeah.
everyone has literally been stopped at a light or a train or something, and you automatically go to the worst case scenario of I'm going to be late, or I'm just got done with work and now I have to wait this much longer
Yeah.
to get home or something. And then yeah, your thoughts can take a hold of you. But I think with what you're saying here is just it's so important to highlight that we are so guided, and everything that happens is for a reason. So you
Hmm.
stopping at that red light is literally just going to allow you to take that much more time to reflect on your day, or you're now going to be able to let that person out in front of you that's trying to turn right out of this gas station to be able to turn out into the road. Or now you're going to be able to be aware that this person's trying to back up so they can turn into this area. Or now you're going to be able to be aware of these little minor things.
Hmm.
um, we're just so guided, and it's so everything happens for a reason. And
It
so
does.
when you get to be able to stop and just feel that and breathe through that, I think that's so important. So I love that you brought that up.
Definitely. And, just for anyone listening to give a little perspective, kind of perspective and like an example for like the law of attraction that, has come to mind during this conversation is Vinny and I talked about it, before recording this off the record and everything. But like we met back in high school through mutual friends, and we were friendly. We would hang out in groups of people and kind of kept in touch here and there. And in college, would occasionally see each other around town, stuff like that, talk when we can, maybe social media. But, we just kind of did our own things. And, during this time, it sounds like both Vinny and myself have had this kind of like good energy feeling about our life and kind of attracting those like-minded good energies. And it's like we're connected now. Like we literally kind of connected out of nowhere almost. And it's like our energies were like bringing each other together. And to have this conversation that we're having right now, like I feel like I truly believe this was always supposed to happen, and it's because of the energies that we're putting out, we're attracting that same energy right back.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. You said that so beautifully. It's like, it's crazy how sort of connected you can be just environment wise or
Yeah.
circumstance wise. But like I said, and like you said, everything happens for a reason, and literally this situation has been created for a reason. We
Yeah.
went through what we had to go through to be able to get to this point for a reason, to be able to achieve this mindset.
Yeah.
And you're so right. Oh my god, literally, like no other words, but I just love exactly what you said.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just like I know we've talked about it a lot, but it's just like being on this wave of like just acceptance, and just it brings so much inner peace. And you honestly kind of just feel like you're walking on clouds. Everything's just so much clearer, and
Mhm.
you just feel more in control, honestly, because you're not so focused on the things, those like red lights, or those things that you can't control. You're just focused on accepting life and being present in the moment, and just putting your best foot forward in everything you do.
Right. And when you're not exhausting your energy and all of those
Hmm.
other spaces and areas of your life that used to take away
Yeah.
from that, you're able to heal and resolve and go from the inside out and really heal those inner battles, combat and
Hmm.
fight those inner battles that you've been dealing with literally from possibly your childhood
Yeah.
till now. And when you are able to, like you said, be in this blissful state, be quiet with yourself, be still, and listen to what your body's really trying to tell you, you can heal so much just on your own. Therapy's great, talking to people is great, all of those things. I will never discount any of that. I've experienced that all myself, and it's so helpful. But you are the one and the only one that can save yourself.
Yeah,
And it's so true. You are there for yourself. You always will be. And you're the one that kind of needs to be able to step up and step into that power and allow yourself to be there for yourself and allow yourself to reflect on the things that aren't going well and the things that you can improve on and the things that you can change. And I think, yeah, from what we've talked about, it's like it's just the perfect way to do it.
exactly. And, like the mind is the most powerful thing about us, but it can also be like the most destructive. So it's all about how you're using it and the thoughts that you're, kind of like how we need food to survive, like the thoughts and the energy that you put in your brain, like if you give it, good, quote unquote, good, like nutritious sources, like it's going to function at such a better level. And, I think it's just really tapping into your mind and having that awareness of it and knowing that even, physical pain that we experience in the body, yeah, if I go slam a door on my arm's gonna hurt, but, like, some pain that we experience, even, like, potentially chronic pain, like, it can come from a manifestation of, like, your mind and just, like, those anxieties and the stress that we build up and get tension in our bodies, so it's like, when you have that awareness of the mind, it translates to the body, and it just impacts your whole life.
Oh my God, 100%. I can't tell you the amount of times I've been so stressed out and then all of a sudden my back is tweaked,
Yeah.
or I've been so just like down on myself about something, or I've been disconnected from relationships or things like
Mhm.
that, and then my hips are just in knots. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy, the mind body connection. And it's not necessarily something that you always have to make an appointment for and go to the doctor for or anything like that. It's literally just listening to your body and allowing, like you said, the mind to calm itself, be
Yeah.
aware of what's going on in there. How many times are you talking to yourself so negatively that, of
Mhm.
course, these things are going to manifest physically, you know?
Exactly, and I mean, just to echo kind of what Vinny was saying, like, by no means are either of us saying, like, mental health professionals or doctors,
Oh
are
my
people
gosh,
that we
yeah.
shouldn't, listen to or
Yeah.
seek out. Like, if you break your leg, you break your leg. But just like, even for me, I go through a whole, not anymore, thankfully, but I used to go through whole days. And then, like, at the end of the day, I just kind of like would sit there and realize, like, my shoulders are pretty much like past my ears, like from just holding tension in my shoulders. And it's like, now almost every hour, like on the hour, I don't care what I'm doing. I just stop, take some deep breaths, and just lower the shoulders and let that kind of stress or tension release from my body and just make sure I'm checking in with the body and the mind and just keeping that fresh, that connection.
Oh, I love that. And if you're someone that's not necessarily used to that,
Yeah.
set reminders for yourself,
Yeah.
like on your phone or something. Like you said, every hour, or if you're new to it, maybe every couple of hours, like two
Right.
times a day, just stretching or doing something, going for a walk, or just telling yourself, literally a reminder in your phone, relax your jaw, chill out, like
Yeah.
just take two breaths, like you're okay, you're safe, you're taken care of, you're
Mhm.
provided for, you're all good. And yeah, that could be a great practice to adopt if you're new to something like that.
Yeah, that's a great point, exactly, and, definitely do what's comfortable for you. When I first started these kind of things, it was at the end of the night, just once a day at the end of the night, take some deep breaths before I go to bed, relax the shoulders, stuff like that. So, as Vinny said kind of from the start, find what feels good to you. Neither of us can tell you what's going to feel good to you or what's going to be best for you. We just want to empower you to have that self discovery and to figure out what's going to work for you, what feeds your soul, and what helps you live the best and most authentic life that you can.
Oh, 100%. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've watched some YouTube video or I listened to, like, or watched an IGTV or something that was saying, my top 5 tips for your best
Hmm.
morning or the best night routine that you could ever have or things like that.
Yeah.
Amazing people, amazing advice. But at the same time, like you said, one thing is not going to work for the other. And I actually love that
Right.
we're bringing this up because this is something that I'm really diving into as I dive into a little bit more of my side in health coaching,
Yeah.
because when we approach health and physical health, diets and like what one thing, like, or exercises, one thing is not going to work for another person. We can't say that everyone should go keto. We can't say that everyone should eat vegan. We can't say that everyone should be powerlifting 3 times a week. We can't say that these things are going to do this thing. Just like you said, these certain practices aren't always going to work for everyone. But when you're able to step back and ask yourself, what's the best thing for myself in this moment? It, it's like the perfect medicine.
Yeah. It is. It's all we need. It is that perfect medicine, and I love the way that you put that. Kind of, branching into that, Vinny, you've mentioned diving deeper into the health coaching. Do you mind talking a little bit about that and kind of what you're up to with it?
Oh, yeah, totally. It's totally transformed into something that I wasn't really expecting. I originally started health coaching last year, and that was something that I was never, like, never expecting to do, but it made sense. Obviously, now looking at it, I've been an athlete for like my whole life. I've
Mhm.
experienced good health, I've experienced poor health, I've experienced under eating, overeating, I've experienced not being happy with my body and all of those things. And I think at first I was coaching with a company itself, and that was great, but I felt a lot of external pressure from the company to perform in a certain way and to get in a certain amount of number of clients and things like that. And as I started to step away from it, I started to understand this message a little bit more of one thing isn't always going to work for everyone else. The
Right.
same thing isn't going to work for every single body. We're all so different as humans. And I think when I was able to finally realize that, I was able to dive deeper into what has helped me and how can I translate this message and give this message out into the universe, that we're all in this together, and we can all create this experience, this healthy experience for ourselves in so many different ways possible. I've actually just been able to accept one-on-one clients and create these intentional movement sessions. I do weekly Instagram lives. Probably should start doing that on Facebook too, but Instagram for now, of just setting an intention and then moving through physical movement for about 10 to 15 minutes. But I think it's just so powerful to be able to sit with yourself at the beginning of you about to move through a session and say, I'm really just going to trust myself throughout the next 15 minutes, or
Yeah.
I'm really just going to love on myself. I'm going to love myself inside and out, or I'm really going to push myself, see how far I can go with this process. And it's been so transformational for me as a coach, and for just seeing myself transform inside and out, but also clients. And I don't know, I also just love putting that out into the world for free, being able to just do lives and like give it out into the universe, because I think that that's so powerful too. So this has been very new, but it's something that I feel so passionate about, because it makes so much more sense to me to set an intention behind, why am I going to move my body and why am I moving it in this way. That's how we, start to lose passion and trust. And why am I showing up at the gym every day? I literally, like, I can't even, I probably could never step foot into a gym anymore. It's so funny. Like, I love my environment of where
Mhm.
and I love being able to be with myself and my own energy and set my intention there. And really, I'm just, I guess my overall message is being able to empower you to set this intention and understand the strength behind what this can do for you and the future of your health. Because sometimes it's not always about the ness of how we look, but it's really about how we feel.
Oh my gosh, that was so amazing to hear. I love that, and just hearing health. I think a lot of people, like, I hear health, I think of lifting heavy weights, I think of, like, six-pack abs, I think of, this or that, and a lot of those, like, more physical attributes, but like you just said, health is so many things, and it's not even just, like, what we're eating or, our blood work or whatever, there's so much more that goes into promoting positive health or positive health changes if you're trying to make some changes or just promoting good health. There's just so much that goes into it, and it's really cool to hear how much you're empowering people to step into that version of themselves.
Yeah, thank you. I feel like it'll be something that's like always evolving
Yeah.
because we are always evolving as humans. And I mean, we're both so young. We're literally like 24, 25 years old. We're very
Mhm.
new and on this planet. So
Yeah.
there's, I'm grateful and the amount that I've learned about the physical, emotional, and spiritual bodies up until this point
Mm.
that I can now transmute that and teach that. But like I said, I feel like it's something that's probably always going to be changing. So happy with it, so excited with it, and just excited to share.
Definitely, and I agree. I think it's gonna be something that continues to evolve, and, I think we're in good places now, and anyone listening, if, like, you take anything away from our conversations, like, if you implement something like that or choose to, you're definitely gonna feel benefits and feel kind of like the positive impacts, but there always will be, like, more to learn and more to grow into and to step into in our lives, so that's really exciting too in a sense, and, just really cool to see how this will all change, and like you said, you and I, we're personally we're babies, we're super young still, so there's a lot more for us to discover and learn on our journeys.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we are so new in these bodies in this
Yeah,
vessel, but it's all good. And it's so funny when I speak to people who are much older or anything like that, and they're like, how does a 24-year-old like know how to do this or
right.
think this way or this? And I'm just like, you know, we're all on different like journeys. We're
Yeah,
all on this different path for a reason. And um it's uh, we're experiencing what we're experiencing right now in the way that we're supposed to. So it's all divine and it all happens in divine timing. So
definitely. Definitely. And now, Vinny, I know you mentioned that like with the health coaching, you are going like on Instagram Live and everything, and just kind of putting out some content for for free, essentially, just for anyone to tune into and to benefit. But you mentioned one-on-one coaching as well. Is that something that you're currently doing too then?
yeah, so it's very reflective in the way that I put out the Instagram lives of setting an intention for a movement. So
Okay.
whenever I work with someone, when I being able to set intention of how are we going to work through this month together? How are we going to improve the areas that you want to improve? And what type of energy and intention are we going to put into these sorts of areas? What are we going to do in that space? And I get to be able to record and create different workouts and flows for them. I get to provide them with meditations and visualizations and things like that. That's all catered to them, which I love. So,
Yeah.
obviously, being able to provide a universal live experience with the intentional movement for everyone is amazing. But when you get down to, okay, now I actually want to make this change for me, it's so much more powerful and important to be able to cater it to the person. So I think that's been really, really cool. And it's been a learning experience in itself, but it's been so fun to be able to, hey, I want to work on this. How can you help
Mm.
me with that? And cater it to that person and cater it to what are they working towards, not only in their physical life, but what are they working towards emotionally? What are they going through? What are they healing in? And what are they really wanting to feel after going through this process together?
That's amazing, and I love how you have that appreciation and focus for, you know, leading these kind of intentions with a group and individually for specific people and everything that's the uniqueness to individuals because it's like you're creating these plans and these maybe trainings, flows, workouts for certain individuals, and like if you gave that all to me right now, none of it might like apply to me or really benefit me because like everyone's so different. And that's the beauty of just humans and just existence. We're all unique and we all have different needs and different things feel good for different people. So it's really cool that you're diving into structuring it specifically for each person that you work with.
Yeah, that's definitely the power in it. Yeah, you hit to the nail. We're so different. We're so different. And so it's important to recognize that difference, embrace that difference, but also figure out it, I don't know, like what do you want? Like
Yeah.
what do you want to feel when you're doing these things? I mean, like I said, that's one of the biggest reasons why I decided to create this is I know what it's like to lose passion and just being able like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym 3 days a week, or
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to make sure I finish this 6-week program or whatever it is. If you're not creating a why behind what you're doing, then you might make it through, but it's you're not going to be able to celebrate what you finish and accomplish as much as if you were able to celebrate it and enjoy the journey along the way
Definitely.
and embrace that intention that we're setting together. So it's been a really powerful experience and I really enjoyed it all.
Awesome. And, something that you just said, I'd like to ask, if you're open to it, for Vinny, for you, what you're doing right now and just your life, what is your why?
Oh, this is good. I feel like I have two right now
Okay.
and maybe even three. I don't know. I'm so driven by helping people. I think that that was one of the biggest reasons why I became a teacher in the first place.
Hmm.
I really want to help people know that they have options in creating their future and creating their current reality as well. So, as well as doing health coaching, I also help people with businesses and I also help people with the beautiful health and magic of Kangen water. And that has been also an amazing health side to what I'm doing. So, I think that in itself has been a huge why for me is we've talked about all the different aspects of health. So a huge why for that would be just it, helping people take a hold of their health.
Hmm.
And then the business is helping people create options for themselves, almost like a way out that feels good. And yeah, and the very last one I'm so huge on, and like my partner and I speak on it all the time, is just creating generational wealth. Oh my gosh, like literally redistributing the wealth to freaking good people. I get so hype on that. Like I literally am like, more good people need just like boatloads of money because I just like I want so many. Not that rich people aren't good because that's a huge limiting belief that a lot of people have,
Yeah.
but I just want to see our generation. I think our generation is full of just amazing freaking people that I get so hype when I think about people like us having the money to be able to give back and create very and just an amazing future for us. So those are my three big ones. Huge health, huge health why, a huge business why, and also a huge wealth why, I guess.
Those are amazing. I love those, and I think those are all so good, and I definitely am in support of them, but I think it also makes sense, like, those are your whys, like, no one listening should have those same exact whys. They can be similar, but those are unique to you, and I love knowing that you have those 3 big whys or pillars in your life that are helping you guide your direction and step into the life that you are destined to be in.
Yeah, thank you so much. No,
Yeah.
it's so beautiful to know that each and every person has been placed on this earth for a completely different reason.
Mhm.
And I think that's definitely rooted in why we're here. We're here to experience and we're here to enjoy, but we're also here to create and
Yeah,
leave leave an impact. So I think that's something that we're
definitely.
both currently doing in our in very different ways, but somewhat similar, but
Right,
different in our own way, I guess. Yeah.
definitely, and, you kind of mentioned all the various awesome things that you're doing. Um, what about the podcast? What's your podcast focusing on?
Oh my gosh, podcasts are so much fun. I mean,
Yeah,
now that we're like speaking on it. Um I just love podcasts. Like literally I just started listening to them and I was like, I could make something that's so much more catered to the whys that I spoke about
yeah,
and shorter. I love making that are literally like 10 to 15 minutes and they're just like quick little things anywhere from mindset. I talk about money. I talk about health. I talk about, oh, what was my most recent one? It was like seven signs be better off working for yourself. So I'm clearly passionate about the entrepreneurship world. So that is a
yeah,
huge focus and theme as well. Literally everything that I spoke about and we've spoken about today has probably been talked about in like my very few minutes of my podcast. I'm not as cool as you where I've had like guests on my podcast, but it's been fun. It's just like a really fun way to create, you know. I
yeah.
really like it.
That's awesome. It's definitely really cool that you've been diving into that world and, just to get those quick, even I would maybe go so far as saying like reminders about mindset and about the
Mm-hmm.
things we've chatted about today to be able to just go to your podcast in like 10 minutes, I'm putting away the dishes, let me listen to this, let me get some good energy, to the mind. Even again, if it's just subconsciously like just going into my brain, let me soak it up, and I love that that's what you're putting out there.
Yeah, thank you. No, I
Of
think
course.
that's huge. Absolutely huge. So yeah, I mean, it's on Spotify, I believe, and Apple, all of
Yeah.
the ways you could possibly find a podcast. It's called the Joyous Creators Podcast. So I have a couple episodes out, and I've most recently been creating and really brainstorming on some new topics I want to be able to put out into the world. So maybe we'll have to do a little bit of a turnaround here, and you'll have to be on the Joyous Creators Podcast in a little bit.
It would be my absolute honor to be a part of it. So anytime, just you have me anytime you want. So just let me know.
Great.
Awesome. But that's a perfect kind of segue. I was gonna ask, um, Vinny, anyone that's like listening that maybe something we said or you said if that really resonated with them, or maybe they're looking for a health coach, or maybe they're looking for help with their business, or getting that freedom and to learn the choices and the options that are out there. What's like a good way for people to connect with you? Like, do you have any social media or anything that you want to drop so people can reach out?
Oh, yeah. So I love Instagram. I feel like that's a huge one with our Gen Z millennials.
Yep.
I am at joyous.creator, and my name should just be Vinnie on there. But yeah, my handle's at joyous.creator. And then I'm on Facebook as well, just Joyous Creator. That was my I bet you that literally is not surprising as to why that might be my Instagram handle. But yeah, and yeah, then my podcast, Stories Creators Podcast.
Okay, so podcast, Instagram, Facebook are the main ones?
Yeah, yeah, and I also, if you want to check out my website, fun things there. I've launched courses, I've launched ebooks on there too. So joycecreator.com is also a great way as well. But Instagram is definitely where it's at. DMs, all the good stuff.
Okay, perfect. And
Yeah.
are you currently are taking on like clients and people if anyone is interested, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Health
Okay,
clients or business clients as well. And
awesome.
if I feel like as well, I've had people reach out where it's not necessarily thinking anything that I'm offering, but we'll just be able to figure out a way where we can work together in a way that I haven't even put out into the world, but they know that they want to work with me. And I think that
Mm,
whenever you're able to even like a more how would you call it, like a individualized offer, I think
yeah,
that's really powerful too. So if any, I feel like people probably feel a similar way about you as well when you just like someone so much and you're like, oh my god, I just want to figure out a way to be able to work with them. People do. So
yeah. I love that. So, anyone listening, again, if anything that Vinny said has really resonated with you, definitely go find her on socials. Check out her website, check out her podcast. send her a message. If you're looking for a coach for your health, for your business, for something that maybe we didn't even talk about, but like Vinny was just saying, maybe just an opportunity to create something together. Vinny's an awesome person and an awesome coach. And I mean, I've received so much value just from our conversation today. I definitely would say, awesome person, awesome resource to reach out to and to work with. So I definitely encourage you all to check out her socials, and I'll put all that good stuff in the description of this episode, so you'll be able to find it down there as well. But Vinny, I mean, is there anything else that you want to kind of leave the listeners with? Any last message or words?
Oh goodness. That's I don't know. I honestly just practice slowly the things that we talked about today. Don't be so hard on yourself, and know that you are always the creator of your own experience. Always, 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 always. So that's I think all I have. Thank you so
I
much,
love
Zach.
that.
This was so fun.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for being here. And again, Vinny, it's been a pleasure. This was a gift, to me. I've taken so much away from our conversation. And I know that whether, it's in the entrepreneurial space with what you're doing with coaching, or if it's some complete other direction, I have no doubt that you're going to continue to make such a positive impact on this generation, the next generation, and just the world in general. So please, please, please never stop doing what you're doing. Keep on putting that good energy. And I know that there's huge things coming your way soon and that you're going to be putting out in the world.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so, so much for those kind words. It's
Of course.
as much as when you're a coach and you don't get the the praise, it's in your gears. It's amazing to hear it back from someone else who has clearly done the work that they've needed to be able to make big changes in their life as well. So I appreciate you so much, Zach. It's been so
Yeah,
amazing to connect. And
of course.
clearly, yeah, I don't know, we're both in just good spots. And it's been
Yeah,
amazing to be able to have this conversation together. So thank you so much.
of course. Thank you. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, bye.
Bye.